You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Please make sure you have smashed that like button and subscribe to our channel for new story. Story title, The Nix of the Mill Pond. Once upon a time in a lush valley, there lived a miller and his wife. They enjoyed a prosperous life, their wealth growing as abundantly as the wheat fields surrounding their mill. The couple was admired by all for their fortune and kindness. But as fate would have it, their luck began to wane. Each year brought less bounty than the last, until the miller found himself struggling to maintain even the mill that had been in his family for generations. Heartbroken and restless, the miller spent sleepless nights tossing and turning, unable to find peace. One morning, before dawn, he left his bed and walked towards the mill pond, hoping the cool air would soothe his troubled mind. As he approached the water's edge, the sun just peeking over the horizon, a soft, murmuring sound caught his attention. Turning, he saw a beautiful woman slowly emerging from the water, her long, flowing hair draped over her shoulders, covering her form like a silken gown. Realizing she was a water nix, a spirit of the pond, the miller was torn between fear and fascination. The nix called out his name gently, asking why he was so troubled. Her voice was melodious, striking a chord of deep comfort in the miller's heart. Regaining his composure, he told her of his former riches and his present misery. The nix listened intently, then promised him a future richer and happier than his past, but only if he agreed to give her the first new thing in his home come the next morning. Thinking of little more than kittens or puppies, the miller agreed without much thought. The nix disappeared into the depths, and the miller returned home, his heart lighter than it had been in months. But as he crossed his threshold, a servant rushed out, jubilant, to announce that his wife had just given birth to a son. Realizing the deception, the miller felt as though struck by lightning. His joy turned to ash knowing what he had promised. As promised by the nix, the miller's fortunes reversed almost overnight. His trade succeeded, his coffers refilled, and his lands flourished. Wealth greater than he had ever known piled up around him. Yet, the shadow of his bargain with the nix hung heavy over his happiness. He kept his son away from the water, warning him of the grasping hands that might pull him beneath the waves. Years passed without a sign of the nix, and the miller began to hope that perhaps the spirit had forgotten their deal. His son grew into a robust young man, apprenticed to a hunter skilled in the arts of the forest. The village recognized the young man's talents, and he served them well. A beautiful village girl caught his affection, and they were married, living happily in a cottage blessed by the village elder. One day, while pursuing a stag, the young hunter followed his prey close to the mill pond. In his victory over the mighty deer, he approached the water to wash the blood from his hands, unaware of his peril. No sooner had his fingers touched the water than the nix appeared, smiling as she wrapped her wet arms around him and pulled him into the depths. As night fell and he did not return, his wife, forewarned of the nix's temptations, feared the worst. She found his hunting bag on the shore and knew what had happened. Overwhelmed with grief, she cursed the water spirit, her cries unanswered, save for the new moon's silent vigil. Distraught, the hunter's wife experienced a vivid dream of an old woman welcoming her into a small, cozy cottage on a mountain, surrounded by stormy weather yet inside warm and inviting. Upon waking, she followed her dream's guidance, climbing the mountain to find the cottage and the old woman exactly as in her dream. The old woman, knowing of her sorrow, gave her a golden comb and instructed her to comb her hair by the pond during the full moon and then leave the comb on the shore. Following these instructions, the wife did as told. As soon as she placed the comb by the water, a great surge swept it away, and for a moment, her husband's head emerged from the water, looking mournfully at her before disappearing again. The wife returned to the old woman, who then gave her a golden flute, repeating the ritual. This time, the hunter appeared more fully, trying to reach out to her before being pulled back under. Lastly, the wise woman handed her a golden spinning wheel, assuring her that this was not the end. The wife spun flax by the pond under the full moon until not a thread was left. As before, the water surged and swept away the wheel, but this time, the hunter emerged completely, rushing to the shore to grasp his wife's hand. Just as they thought they were safe, the pond water roared and flooded the field, transforming them into a frog and a toad. The floodwaters carried them far apart, and when they regained their human forms, they found themselves among strangers, their past lives washed away. Years passed, and each led a lonely life herding sheep, haunted by memories of lost love. As spring returned, fate drew them closer, and in a secluded valley, they met again. Under a full moon, The shepherd played a melancholy tune on his flute, which brought tears to the shepherdess's eyes as she recognized the melody and the moonlit face of her husband. They embraced, finally reunited, their hearts knowing they would never need to question their happiness again. If you like the story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.